So, welcome to another video. I'll start by drawing the outline of the eye with a pencil. I should mention the materials I'll be using. I'll be using a black pencil, a blender, a mechanical pencil, a Staedtler 0.05 and a Micron 0.1. This is how I start all of my drawings, using a pencil to draw out the vague guidelines. It doesn't need to be too neat at this point because later on I'll work over the top of this with a pen in a more accurate way. So now I'm working with the Staedtler pen now the vague outlines are drawn in with the pencil. I use this type of pen to do most of my drawings as I've been using it for years and have worked out multiple techniques with it. I use the Staedtler pen to sharpen up the lines I have already drawn in with the pencil. I feel like once I've drawn in the outline of the eye, as well as the pupil and the tear duct, the eye starts to come to life. Drawing in the inner eyelid is quite difficult because it has to align exactly with the edge of the eye. Any mistake made at this point is quite hard to rectify, especially because now I'm working with pen and that can't be erased. So, now the fun bit, drawing in the hair. One thing I've learnt about drawing hair over the years is that it's very important to make sure you're drawing the hair in the right direction. It's important for many reasons, but I think a couple of the main reasons is to create a sense of three dimensions and also to create a believable form. Sometimes when working on big drawings, when I'm drawing out the vague guidelines with the pencil, I also draw in little arrows with the pencil so I know which direction to draw the hair in. I'm using a flick technique here that I've mentioned in other videos before, which is basically like flicking a pen against a paper, like how you would flick a match against a matchbox. It creates a wispy, fluffy effect, like fur. So this is the Micron pen. I use it to create contrast as it has a darker black ink than the Staedtler pen. Now I'm using a mechanical pencil. It's good for detail, softer tone and shading. I particularly like it for shading because you can smudge it. That's something you can't do with the pens because the marks are permanent and stable. And now back with the Micron pen to work in some darker areas to create more contrast and to hopefully create a more three-dimensional effect. This is the blender. It's really good for smudging and moving around the pencil that's already drawn in. This is another bit I really enjoy about drawing eyes, drawing the detail into the iris. There is so much detail in the iris if you look into an eye deeply. I think the pencil is best for doing this as the pen would be too harsh to create the soft effect needed. Back in with the blender to soften up the pencil detail in the iris. Notice I leave areas of white to create the impression that light is hitting the eye. Now I'm back with the Staedtler pen to work in darker shadow under the top eyelid. I must remember to not draw over that area of white just above the pupil. And now I'm using the black colouring pencil for darker tone. It's not quite as dark as the Micron pen, but it's better for softer shading and you can smudge it as well a bit like the pencil, as I'm doing here with the blender. When you've been using the blender for a little while, it starts to collect some of the pencil on its tip, so you can use that to smudge in even lighter shading. And you'll see me doing that here, working over the areas that need shading, but the bare minimal. I think at this point the eye has become almost lifelike, so I think we're almost done. Just going back in with the mechanical pencil to work in some finer detail and finish off the final touches. And I think I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, as always.